Many organizations will perform better when their managers know the laws of behavior. Good managers apply parts of them subconsciously, but still regularly run into three main pitfalls. Using the example of training a parakeet, we see how these laws and pitfalls can be explained through the theories of Nobel laureate Ivan Pavlov and his dogs. How would you change the behavior of a parakeet that sits quietly in the corner of his cage to one of flying and singing? If we ask this question, usually the following suggestions are given. Use a cat, give food, add in another parakeet, shake the cage, or open the cage. All of these responses are examples of antecedents. These are activities that precede the desired behavior with the aim to stimulate a particular behavior. Known antecedents at work are memos, manuals, schedules, warning signs, and rules. These activities are intended to influence the behavior, but work only once. Only consequences maintain behavior. In practice, 80% of the time the focus of managers is on antecedents. That is the first pitfall. There is a strong focus on end results. The failure to achieve targets will be punished with negative attention, while regular work suffers. If results are not met, new antecedents are deployed, with more power. Behavioral research shows that a much greater effect can be achieved when the focus is on the consequences that follow the behavior. This brings us to the first law of behavior. Consequences have a 4 times larger impact than antecedents. The second pitfall in changing behavior is the use of the wrong consequences. Using coercion, punishment, and penalty instead of using rewards. Rewards and coercion are consequences that increase the occurrence of behavior. Punishment and penalty reduce it. When rewarded, people do something because they want to. They perform to the maximum. What arises is intrinsic motivation, a lot of initiative, and behavior that is described as passionate. The emotion associated with rewards is joy. During coercion, people do something because they have to. The human reaction to coercion is to do the bare minimum, and that takes a lot of supervision. The emotion associated with coercion is fear. With punishment, people stop activities because they get something they do not want. The emotion here is anger. When you get a penalty, you have to give up something when you show the behavior. A traffic fine means you have to hand over money. The same thing goes for lack of attention. Ignoring leads to a decrease in behavior. The emotion is sadness, disappointment. Research shows that rewards are the most effective way of changing behavior. Rewarding what goes right is more effective than punishing what goes wrong. The second law of behavior is therefore, reward desirable behavior and ignore undesirable behavior as much as possible. Here is the third pitfall. We are inclined to reward with money, such as bonuses. There is a lot of research into the effect of bonuses. They usually do not work, because the desired behavior is not specified well enough, and there is no established link between the reward and the desirable behavior. The bonus and the money are often paid long after the performance has been delivered. This brings us to the third law of behavior. Reward desired behavior immediately. One easy and effective reward that can be directly given is the compliment. Give compliments and appreciation during or shortly after the behavior you want. Celebrate it with the group so that everyone within the group rewards one another with attention. In summary, when trying to change behavior, we are 4 times more likely to use antecedents than consequences. When we finally learn that consequences work better, often we use the wrong consequences. Coercion, punishment, and penalty. Again, 4 times as frequently as the appropriate consequence, which is reward. And when we finally realize that rewarding directly works 4 times better than money, we are effective in getting behavior changes in only 20% times 20% times 20% of the cases. That is less than 1%. This means that change management can work 100 times better if we know the laws of behavior analysis and know how to apply these laws. What does this mean for moving the parakeet? We must work with positive attention. Every time the parakeet makes a small movement, we yell, for example, enthusiastically, "Hooray!" Only after some 5 or 10 times, the bird starts to understand that your behavior changes as he moves. Every time he moves, you call out. He is getting excited as he sees that he is immediately rewarded for his behavior. The parakeet feels his influence on its surroundings for the first time in its life. To sustain behavior longer, it is important that you do not reward it every time, but at intervals, so that the parakeet is regularly surprised positively. The parakeet keeps moving because we occasionally reward unexpectedly. And so, parakeet and owner live happily ever after. Are people like parakeets? Not quite. There are big differences between people and parakeets. Parakeets can do things that people cannot, and people can do things that parakeets cannot. OBM, Organizational Behavior Management, is the subfield of behavioral analysis that specializes in the application of behavioral analysis in organizations. From numerous studies, it has become clear that often people perform suboptimal when antecedents and the wrong consequences are used. One of the reasons why reward works so well is the responsibility that you give to the employees. It works well if you ask people to set their own goals. After rewarding the goal attainment, one is proud of the achievements. Just like with children, you see, they like it when they feel that they are in control of themselves. When thinking about rewards, we often think of a bonus or a salary increase. Studies show that intangible rewards are often more effective because you can apply them directly at the time of good behavior. Immediately congratulating work is more effective than rewards at the end of the year. However, intangible rewarding is difficult for many managers because we are not accustomed to compliments. What is a proven effective approach? OBM, based on 60,000 experiments, provides the following recipe. Suppose that in a construction project, you want everyone to wear a helmet, or in an operating room, everyone washing his or her hands according to the protocol. First, you start by identifying the facts. It turns out that 30% of colleagues obey. Then you analyze the antecedents of that behavior and its consequences. We often find that we do not do things because they require some effort in the short term, and that leads people to choose the wrong behavior. You have to think about it. It's annoying to grab a helmet. It is sometimes awkward to wash your hands, or you simply forget it. Discuss this with your team, with a specific goal in mind, such as, at the end of the year, the desired behavior should be increased by 90%. Separate the goal of going from 30% to 90% in 6 achievable pieces of 10% improvement. Then comes the fun part. Every time it goes well, you provide an enthusiastic speech and treat your staff on Friday. In addition to this, you walk regularly around and congratulate everyone you catch washing their hands or wearing a helmet. Keep in mind that compliments are most effective when they are honest, sincere, and concrete. And as soon as you notice the desirable behavior, show a warm smile with which you show that you really do appreciate this. Difficult? Leaders are people, and we are not used to distribute social rewards, and we tend to prefer our darlings or set ways of doing things. This is easy, and there is often no deliberate plan underneath. There are also managers, however, who easily reward other people. They understand the art of letting others feel good to be with them, and they are called inspiring. Rewarding every day can be learned. Remember that rewarding also means that you sincerely pay attention to the other person, just by listening. No interruptions, although you think you know better, and looking at the other as he talks. Although the basic principles of organizational behavior management are easy to understand, they are often difficult to put into practice, especially because a change has to come from working with antecedents towards working with positive consequences. Fortunately, giving rewards is a lot more fun than giving punishment, and higher results